Reviewing every Stephen King book in publication order. First up, Carrie. Carrie is set in the, at the time, futuristic 1979 and follows a young girl named Carrie with telekinesis. Carrie is friendless and is bullied by everyone at her school, and she is under the thumb of a very religious mother. At the time of publication, Stephen King was a struggling writer and a very broke teacher. After writing the first 3 pages of this novel, he threw them away thinking they were complete trash, but luckily his wife fished them out of the trash can, told him that he needed to finish the book. King was worried that he wouldn't be able to capture a female voice, but his wife Tabitha assured him that she would help him in all the areas that he had trouble with. Carrie is an epistolary novel, much like Dracula. It's told through newspaper articles, magazine articles, or pieces of testimony, and in that way, it's sort of interesting, but I also think it's to the detriment of the overall story. I have a teething baby, so she's going to sit in on the rest of the review with me because she does not want Dad to leave her down. Like every time Stephen King would get some momentum in the narrative, he would break in with some news article. It would really slow down the narrative. Don't you agree? I found this particularly distracting in the third, act of the novel, when he tells us what's going to happen at prom night, but then we see it from, a news article, then we see it from Sue Snell's testimony, and then we see it through Carrie White's eyes. It just felt like redundancy, and for such a short novel, it seemed like way too much, like telling us what was going to happen before it happened. Also, Carrie White is almost non-existent in this book, which is something I did not expect. Even though the book is titled Carrie, she's barely a character. We spend way more time with Sue Snell and some of the other girls that are bullying Carrie, but we almost hardly spend any time with, Carrie at all. So I never felt any attachment to her. I felt bad for her, of course, but it was mostly just because I don't like to see people getting bullied. Also, there's some language in this book that really doesn't age well. I know it's not great to review a book from, a 2022 lens when the book is almost 50 years old, but there are some choices that King makes that you just can't defend. It's just straight up racist. And I can't even say what it is he says, but there's some descriptions that I'm like, oh man, really, Stephen? Ultimately, I'm glad I read the book, just to say I've read it and to, get my journey of reading all Stephen King on its way. But if you've seen the Brian De Palma adaptation, you've read this book. Did you know there's 4 Carrie movies? So we're glad we've read it, but it's not even in my top 10 all-time favorite King. Maybe it'll change after I get through all of them, but right now, Carrie feels very much like a first novelist novel.